Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Dolpo for giving me a chance to host today's session. And thank you everyone for joining Dolpo 16 online webinar session. And this session will also be available to view on Facebook page and YouTube channel as well. And thank you, Mr. Furwa Dundub, who was our 12th guest speaker, for sponsoring the Zoom subscription. And so I am Doma Hamo, and I'm very excited to host today's speaker, my eldest sister, Dorje Dolma, who is an inspirational speaker, visual artist, and also the author of Yak Girl, growing up in remote Dolpo region of Nepal. Dorje has been touring around the world, and she has done over 100 presentations at bookstores, libraries, conferences, and universities, and many more, many non-profit organizations. Her mission is to inspire others through writing art and speaking to help spread kindness and to educate about the need for medical and educational resources in Dolpo. So for the fall and winter, Dorje will give online talk, and you can visit her website page, dorjesart.com, for more information. My family and I are proud to have such a special book that is not only about our family history, but also about Dolpo culture and landscape. I've been reading Yak Girl to my parents, and they're enjoying a lot. It's like looking at family photos album. So before we start with speaker, I would like to request everyone to mute the microphone, and there will also be question and answer session. And so for the question and answer session, you can ask in Tibetan, Nepali, and English. So the closing session will be done by Ms. Pema Gurungla. Thank you, everyone, and welcome, Sister Dorje.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I wanted to thank everyone for joining, and thank you for the Dolpo for inviting me your speaker for today. I feel very honored. I think it's a wonderful resource and very educational. I have been actually watching your past speakers on YouTube channel when I missed it, or on Facebook page. So I think this is very useful, not only for people in general, but also for Dolpo community. So I just wanted to really, I feel very honored and special to be part of this program, and I'm really happy that, especially today, to do this with my sister Doma. This is actually one of our first, I would say, collaborative online project together. So you did really well. So now I got the hard part. So I'm gonna now do a screen share and do a PowerPoint presentation for my part. So let's see. Okay. All right. So can everyone see the presentation okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you.
All right. So once again, thank you for Dolpo for inviting me. And so I'm not, today I'm not going to talk too much about my book, Yak Girl, because I think a lot of people have already read it, or you've been to some of my presentations, which I am, it's been a really wonderful journey, and I truly enjoy everyone's support and the interest in my story, and also people wanting to learn about Dolpo. It's definitely been a very, I still get lots of people who travel to Nepal, especially trekkers. They go and they find my book and then they either take it with them or read it when they get back. And I think the book gives it's sort of a connection to the people in Dolpo, the people, the land, and the animals. So you're not just only going to climb the mountains and then coming back, but you're also getting to know the people. So I think it's just been a really wonderful piece to share with everyone. Let me see. So what inspired me to, so my book came out in 2018. It was published in the US and now also published in Nepal. And it's available now on Amazon or local bookstores. So, and it took me 15 years to write because I had to learn English, I had to finish high school, and then I had to get my degree in fine arts at the university at Boulder, Colorado. But I didn't want it to give up because I felt like this is an important part of my life and also important part of my family history. And when I first came to America, there just wasn't a lot of books about Dolpo. Also at the time, I didn't know a lot of Asian female authors. And I didn't know if anyone would actually be interested in my stories because it was so different. And I was trying to get used to the American culture and trying to find my own identity. So it was just a lot of fear around it. Also, the thing is, I was actually terrified of writing book because I thought I had to be a perfect speller and have a perfect grammar. And those are the two things that I lack the most, and I still do. And so I thought, well, maybe in my next life, I can write a book. But then, and that's something that I also thought about education. I thought, well, maybe in my next life, I will get education. As growing up in Dolpo in the 90s, there were no schools in the villages where I lived and worked. And so education was not even an option, especially for girls. So I figured, well, at least maybe in my next life, I can learn to read and write. But then with the encouragement from friends and family and me getting into reading more books and just writing short stories, I thought, well, I can actually, maybe I can write. And also I wanted to carry this tradition of Dolpo storytelling. So it's one of my favorite memories growing up in Dolpo was that we often told, so many of us couldn't read or write. So we often, especially in the evening, told stories about travels, fairy tales, or just everyday life. And my late grandmother from Saldang, she used to love storytelling. In fact, so much that whenever we had a guest that would visit us, she would beg them to tell stories about, anything. And she would get so into the stories that often our tukpa, the barley soup, was overboiled. So either the dinner was late or no dinner, but we got good stories. And also some of the stories had songs, and it just was very cozy, special thing to have. And I just wanted to kind of continue that journey on and to help educate people about Dolpo, because there just wasn't a lot of books or information about it, and I wanted to educate and share this special, special treasure, even though it was scary also in the sense that I'm putting my personal life to the world to read. But I thought maybe if they got to know me, they will get to know about Dolpo, and eventually they would also be inspired to help with education or medical needs, which is much needed. So some of my tips for writing for writers. Everyone writes differently, so don't take this as how you have to write. But these are things that helps me. So one of my number one rule for writing is if you have an idea or thought, first thing is write it down quickly before you forget them. So write it on paper, on the computer, napkins. I really like writing on napkins for some reason because it's like soft paper. And one of the things I like to do is when I go to walk or when I go to cafes, I always carry a little notepad with me. And so any ideas that just kind of come to my head, I just jot it down quickly. So the ideas are like there because you think into yourself, well, I can, you know, sometimes you're just going shopping or you're just walking and all of a sudden this thought comes to your mind and you think, okay, I'm gonna go write this whole story, and a couple of days later you forget about them. So that's number one, is to just writing it down. Next is I like to create the outline. So the outline for me, it gives an overview of how I want my whole story or message to be read, or what structure, like in the order, it gives the sense of order. For example, I did an outline for this presentation where I wanted to know what I'm going to say in the beginning, middle, and the end. And to me, that's helpful, and then I can work from a section at a time. And once you get all those pieces, you know, your sections written, then I like to put them together like a puzzle, you know. But I just, with the two parts, writing your ideas and then outline, it's just helpful in the sense that you're not worrying too much about what order do I write, and you're not worrying about spellings, grammar. You're just getting everything just written down, and then you can put them together. And the next thing is just be persistent and don't get too distracted. I did have problem when I was writing my book that my friends got me into watching Bollywood movies, and I didn't realize Bollywood movies are 2 hours long. And so some days I somehow managed to watch 2 or 3 hour long Bollywood movies and wrote nothing. So those are not a productive day, but and then I wrote some more the next day. And the next one is finding a good editor. This is for if you wanted to write an essay or something, a big project. I was really blessed to have an amazing editor that was able to really keep my voice and writing style throughout the whole book. And those are really hard to find. For that type of editor, it's really hard to find. So I think I was really blessed to have that. Ouch. So just, I'm going to get a little bit about Yak Girl. So just for those who don't know, Yak Girl is, it's about memories of my life growing up in Dolpo at 13,000 feet from age 5 to 10 years old. And I was mostly a herder, taking care of the animals. Even though Karang is my village, I actually grew up and worked in various parts of Dolpo. And in some ways, I feel like a nomad, and I still feel like a nomad. And one thing about nomadic life is that you can create home anywhere in the world, or any part of, you know, you can go to the river and create that. That could be your home. It could be temporary homes, but you don't feel like you're confined into one piece and you're stuck there. And the other part of the nomadic life I really like about is the simplicity that with nomad people, that they can only, they carry only what they can carry and what their animal can carry. So you're not as so attached to things as when we are stationed at one place, because having too much stuff sometimes can be overwhelming because you worry about where you put it, maybe somebody stole it, or you spend all day cleaning. But when you don't have a lot of things, and you can keep moving. I just wanted to, so when I was in Garang, that was from my early age till about age 5 and 6. I was taking care of my some of my parents' cows and horses, but also mostly my siblings. And then later on, as I got older, I lived with my grandparents and moved to various villages. So in this spring, I worked in Namdo. And in Namdo, I actually had my first worst wolf attack with my goats and sheep. I was almost home, and then all of a sudden, I just needed to rest. When you're a herder, you don't get recess or no break. And so it's been a long morning, and I just need to take a little bit of break. And as I was doing that, all of a sudden I see all these vultures everywhere. And I went to check on my goats and sheep, and a wolf came and killed one of my goats, and there were vultures just everywhere. So all of a sudden it was this dramatic scene where the wolf and the group of vultures and me, we were all trying to get the dead goat. So finally I was able to get whatever's left, and I came home and I was shaking. I just felt like my whole body was complete shock, but I still had to count my goats and sheep. And while I was counting, this big goat with a big horn came and just rammed me against the wall, like pretty much shoved me and beat me up. And I was like, if you're mad about the wolf situation, go talk to the wolf. Don't beat me up. So it was quite the morning. But what I really like about Namdo is, as you can see in the picture, the river valley. I love watching when travelers are walking along the river valley. That was one of my favorites. And occasionally in the fall, I would come here and take the yaks and the other animals on the other side of this side of the river. But most of the time I spent the springs here. And in Saldang is the, actually I was actually born in Saldang. This is my mother's village. And I spent most of my winters in Saldang and had all my encounters with snow leopards, 5 times to be exact. And they were all, different scenarios, but one of the one that was, I would say, more pretty scary one was when one of the snow leopards decided to come visit our home middle of the night, and it was pitch dark, and it felt like our house was going to collapse. The house was shaking because the cows and the zoos were running downstairs crazy. The goats and sheep they just wanted to get out of the little courtyard. The dog was barking, and my aunts were crying. And but my grandfather, there's no electricity, of course, so he's just like putzing around the room. He somehow managed to find a stick, and he goes downstairs and he's trying to chase the snow leopard with a stick. And so this giant snow leopard jumps over the barking dog and escapes with my grandfather's little stick. But the next morning, I got the honor of cleaning the worst mess. There was there's a little courtyard with the sheep, and when I opened the door, there were dead sheep everywhere. It was like blood, dead sheep. It was it was kind of like entering into some kind of a horror movie, but somehow I managed to clean it. Never want to do that again. And these were our brand new sheep. So that was quite, I would say it was a pretty dramatic night. But it wasn't always like that. I actually really appreciate the amount of respect the Dolpo people have for all animals, and because people often ask me if your animals were getting attacked by the wolves and the snow leopards, do kill them? I said no. I mean, that's one thing, like, we didn't kill them because we also knew they needed to eat, and so we chased them up with the stick, but you know, also respecting their space, and we knew they were hungry, so of course occasionally you will lose few of your domestic animals, and sometimes I would feel bad because the snow leopards would be crying, and I knew they were hungry, but I just I think the main thing is that there's this general respect for the human and animals and the nature itself. So there's just, that is something I really value. And in the summer, I stayed in Shea. Shea's 18,000 feet. And this is where, I don't know if anyone can see, this is one of the main camps where we stayed. But there was a few other places we had to move around. One is actually over here, I think. And Shea is definitely one of my favorite places in Dolpo. It's really beautiful with so many flowers, so many. It's a peaceful, and it just has a sense of magic, mystery, and then later in the summer, there's a lot of traveler pilgrims that come, and as you can see, I know a lot of people have been to Shea Monastery, so you'll see a lot of festivals going on, and so it's always been my favorite, and this is where I spent most of my time with my late aunt, who was like a second mother to me. So it just had a very special place in my heart. And I also learned how to take care of the yaks here, because for other villages, I was mostly with the goats and sheep, but this is where I was often with the yaks. And then occasionally very stubborn zoos that don't want to stay with the rest of the animals. So in 1994, my family and I walked from Dolpo to Kathmandu for a whole month because I had a really bad back. At the time, they didn't know it was called scoliosis, but people didn't know. I was having trouble walking, breathing, and there was a lump on my back, and people didn't really know how to cure. And also they've seen other people with similar condition don't survive long. I did know a girl in Saldang and then a man in Namdo that had the same problem as me. And I think that's when and a lot of village members would tell my parents, oh, that's so sad that your daughter has that back problem, she's not going to live. So that's when my parents decided that maybe if we go to the city, we can find help. But I didn't know we're going to be walking for a month. That would have been helpful. But it was a long journey with a lot of adventures. I saw buses and cars for the first time, because up till then I was just out in a complete other world, closed from the rest of the world, never seen cars, airplanes. I think the most modern thing we had was like some people had flashlights, and and some radio. That was my modern experience. But we finally made it to Kathmandu, and the doctors did some x-rays on my back, and they said they didn't know what to do with me because it was the so they pretty much said, yeah, I can't help you. And but luckily I was fortunate enough to find some amazing people that was able to bring me to US. And so I came to America in 1995, and I had 4 major surgeries on my back. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to talk a little bit about scoliosis. So this, which is the condition that I had. So scoliosis is a curvature on your back. So instead of having a straight back, mine was, and it can be like an S shape or a C shape, and mine was C shaped because it was 112 degrees, which is very severe. And the problem with my back was that this curvature it won't stop. It kept getting worse and worse, and that was causing a problem with my lungs. And I think that was why I was having trouble breathing. And so I had both in the scoliosis in the front and also on my back. That's why this is, you see this looks like a river, and then here's the mountain. So and according to my doctor, that more females tend to have scoliosis problem than male, and it's not a contagious thing, so no one's going to get my scoliosis, but it can it is a genetic, or if you're born with it. And with my issue was that the reason that mine was so bad was that I didn't get early treatment. Like, not all scoliosis needs surgery. If you have a mild, you can get treated with wearing a brace or doing physical exercise. But if it keeps, if it's the curvature keeps going, and then that's when you need the surgery. But for me, there was no hospitals in Dolpo, so nobody was checking on my back. And so a lot of, most countries, children get yearly medical checkup. So these things can be prevented early on, but mine was just gone too far. So before my scoliosis surgery, I had this thing called Arnold Chiari Malformation, which is the doctors had to do a surgery from my skull down to my neck because my spinal cord was clogging up the fluids that going from your brain to your spine. And if they don't do the surgery, then it could paralyze my whole body. And what the surgery itself wasn't bad, but what I remember was really hard was the MRI. So MRI is the machine that you have to go in like a tube. It's going into a deep tunnel. And I had to be in there all day long and tied, like I couldn't move my body because I had to stay still, because they had to take, hundreds and hundreds of photos in my brain. And because it took so long and I couldn't move, and I just felt a little bit suffocated in there. Some reason that out of all my surgeries, that one was like the most challenging for me. But so you can see like they did this is my scar. But at the time they had a little like staples in there, and then later on they took it off. All right. And let me just do this. So this is my surgeon, Dr. John Odom, who is one of the top orthopedic surgeons in America. And he was able to he was able to almost make my spine straight. And I'm just so incredibly thankful to him for letting me live longer, because when I came here, that after finding out by my condition, the doctors said that I only had like a year and a half, maybe, no, about maybe 2 years most to live, because my breathing was getting so bad. And but Dr. Odom took on this challenge, even though he said that it was one of the most risky surgeries that he had to do. And but he was so committed into helping me, and help save my life. So what he did with after my Arnold Chiari malfunction surgery, I had two spinal fusions, and where he did a surgery, one from the front and one from the back, and each of those surgeries he had to be in the operation room for almost 12 hours without drinking, eating, because it's such an intense, you have to move quickly. It's just such an intense surgery. So and complex, not to mention so complex. So he fused my, because your normal back, you have those joints like this, more movable, but he made my back spine created solid bone, so it would stop from going like this. And he took some of my bones from my rib and put it in the blender and the sprinkler in the back, and to help grow the solid bone. And I was gonna see if and put a rod. I just wanted to show you guys. So this is the rod, that metal rod that he put in. So once the operation was done, then the metal rod will help keep the spine together and to help grow the solid bone. And some people have 2 metal rods. I think because I was a child, I just needed 1. And after the surgery, I had to wear a body cast that went all the way around my back and front for 6 months, and I couldn't even take it off at night, which was not fun in the summer because it was super hot. But after the surgery, after 6 months, I think it was like a year, then Dr. Odom took the rods out and gave it to me. So I still have the rods. So I'm just gonna. So I just wanted to say one, keep on with Dr. Odom. He's done over 6,000 surgeries in his lifetime, and given over 100 free surgeries. And with my case, he was so determined. He knew he had to. This was a very risky thing that he had to do. On top of it, he donated his time and energy, and he also had to find a hospital to also do the same, donate. and so he can do the operation, because these operations can cost over $200,000, and but he was able to get the help that I needed. And he's now in his late 80s, and I recently saw him. This is, oh, I just realized I was wearing the same dress. And it just, I recently saw him, and I personally thank him for all his generosity and kindness. And he's just a remarkable human being that just, you can really see that he cares. He's incredibly skilled in what he does, and two, he just gets so emotional even talking about the patients. He has such a big-hearted person, and I'm honored and blessed to have him as my doctor. This is one of my artwork. It's called I'm Happy, and this is just a symbol of after my surgery, I was happy, because there were times when I was in the hospital, because I was in hospital for almost a month. And I remember there was a time I was in this ICU, and I had like just tubes everywhere. I got tubes going down my throat, tubes on my arms, tubes on the side, like machines doing the helping with the blood pressure. And I couldn't even move a finger. I mean, even it hurt to just move my finger, because my whole body is just opened up and sewed together. And I had this moment of panic, like, oh my God, I don't know if I can ever go back to normal. Like, I don't know if I ever will come out live. I just had this little moment of panic, but then I knew that there were so many people who were rooting for me, and I both in all over the place, and also knew that my family in Dolpo were doing asking all the lamas and to do pujas for me. So I just I said I had to stay strong and keep going. And it's amazing how you can go from feeling like you just cannot go on to, you can do it. But I think it does take this inner strength. So, that's something that I was very happy once the surgery was over. Now, I just wanted to give a little update of my current status. And so recently, this is almost 2-year project, the Parkinson School for the Blind Library recorded my book. And so now it's available for people at the National Library Service for the Blind and Printed Disabled. And so this is the libraries for all over US. And I recently did a presentation on a phone presentation, and it was so remarkable because, many of them, can't see, but they were able to listen to the stories from Yak Girl and imagine. They really like my description of the landscape and the animals. And, I had like almost 40 listeners, and I was just on the phone, and it was just really remarkable. And so I'm really happy that I can contribute to amazing service, because I think everyone should be able to have access to education, doesn't matter what kind of condition you are in. All right. Another exciting news is I this new book. It's called A Story of Karma, written by a Canadian author, Michael. I'm sorry, Michael, I might be saying your name wrong. Sasha. Okay. Anyways, he was a, he went to Nepal in Manang area as a trekker, but in his journey he met this girl and was able to put her to school. I mean, it's a beautiful, I'm not going to say too much about it because people should read it. And it's a beautiful story about, again, that human connection. You go your goal is to hike a mountain, but then you meet the people, and you could be living in top of the mountains or in the city. The connection is same. So it's a beautiful way to help others, and it's a very inspiring story. And I'm also really touched that the author was able to that he asked me to write one of the blurbs for his book. So I'm excited to read the printed version soon. And my other things I've been doing is I like to do art. I did go to art school, and I like to do a combination of landscape, but also mixed media, drawing, painting, collage, all that together. And art for me is another way to tell my story, but it's more of a freeing way to tell a story, because writing is more confined in structure because you have to worry about spelling, grammar. But with art, you can just be free. Like, you don't have to be perfect. But it's the wonderful way to express what's going on in the world or in your life or in yourself. And yeah, it's just been especially helpful with the COVID-19. It's a just have something where I could feel like I have some kind of mental peace. So I think art, if those are wanting to do some relaxing things to do, I would highly recommend just draw, paint, and enjoy. So I like to do a combination of, for a long time I used to get really scared of drawing because again, it's just the fear of making a mistake. But then I got into doing pen drawing, and when you do pen drawing, you can't erase, you just have to keep going. And that, so that actually led me into mixing my, the painting, acrylic painting, I do a lot of acrylic painting with the pen drawing. And I also like jewelry. So now everything just melded together. And I recently created some greeting cards with my artwork, and now that I now sell on Etsy. But I also really love writing letters to people. It's just a very personal, I feel like another way to stay connected with people, especially right now. And I used to get cards from my grandma, and I just love that, there's something you can hold. The whole handwriting is another art in itself. So, and now it's just a nice way to, I can create something and then others can write messages to their friends and family as a way to be in touch or stay connected. So I was recently talking to my Dolpo father, who's a healer in many ways. He does so many pujas, and I think he's gotten too many prayer requests from me lately. But he's always praying for everyone's health, their well-being, and then he's also an Amchi, and he's been doing this for more than 20 years in Garang, and makes his own medicine. But so he's such an inspiration for also helping others, being kind to others. And he recently said, he said, I don't know how you deal with deaths in America, but in Dolpo culture, the community, having the community grieve and heals together. And then that kind of stuck on me a lot, because I think about that in our current situation where, you know, we are living in our own world. We're isolated. We can't, you know, we can't see our friends and family. We can't travel. It's really hard. But yet we can, and we feel, we as a human being really realize that we need each other. And I think that's another valuable thing. Excuse me, I need water. That valuable culture that I treasure as being in Dolpo, because we may not have a hospital or a lot of resources, but we had the community, the villagers were our community. So if somebody was sick or somebody needed something, everyone looked out for each other as if they are your own family. And I think that's what he meant, is that if somebody in your community dies, that you also grieve with them and you tried your best to help them, you know, go see if they need anything, and be there for each other. And I think that's something that we're gonna need this year. I mean, you know, we still have long ways to go. We don't know how long this virus will take, but I think even if you can't, you know, hug a friend or family member, you can still see if there's ways you can help them. There's ways you can help your neighbors, your country, or just the whole international way of help, the international community, you know. And one of the way I've been really getting to know my neighbors, and I almost feel like I'm in Dolpo, because, you know, anytime if I needed help, my neighbors will come bring bread or just, you know, check on us, and that's just really special. And I think we need to do that more. Another way to help your community is respecting your essential workers and healthcare workers, because they're putting their lives out there. And it's and, you know, if I go to this local store, I wear my mask so that I, you know, one is protect myself, and also I want to protect the people that are working in the store, and I don't want them to get sick, because if, you know, you go in there and, you know, get them sick, then the store is closed. So it has, like, you see that everything's so connected. So we have to be respectful and be kind to each other. So with that being said, I wanted to thank the following nonprofits that these nonprofits are that I either met the founders or have done some presentations together, or just visited the place. And I know there are many more that are doing amazing job in helping people in Dolpo. So the following ones are Rokpa International, Altitude Project, Himalaya Current, Dolpo Tuku Charitable Foundation, Sri Mangal Div, or SMD, and Lomantang, and Snowyak Foundation, Snowland Run-Up Light of Education School. They're all helping Dolpo with people with others education, medical needs, or infrastructure. And, you know, so many people are putting their it's just incredible with all these people are doing to help people in Dolpo. I wanted to especially thank Rokpa, because Rokpa was one of the first nonprofits that took me in when I got to Kathmandu. And I was one of the Rokpa children, and they provided, I went to school for a little bit, I had home to go. And then they connected me to my now American family. So and then they've also helped all my siblings and niece. So I'm just really, really blessed for all their kindness. So if anyone wants to follow my journey, unfortunately I have been traveling for the last 2 years, but unfortunately with the coronavirus, that's not going to happen. So I will be doing online like Zoom presentations. Also, I've done phone presentations. So I'll be doing that more in the fall and in the winter. And then we'll see what will happen. And if anyone, I do like to send out newsletters. If anyone wants to receive my newsletters, you can go to my website, dorjearts.com. And shops, I have Yak Girl books on Amazon or local stores, and arts and craft type stuff at my Etsy shop at Dorje Arts Collection. Or you can follow my social media, Facebook page, Instagram, that whole thing. So, yeah, I like to, I'll see, I think that it's fun to write the newsletter, just kind of document my own life and journey and to share with others, and also to keep writing. So again, I wanted to thank Dolpo for inviting me again. Thank you, Doma. Also, I just want to thank the whole Dolpo community for just really last time when I was in Nepal, I did a couple of presentations, and I just was really overwhelmed by the community support and also helping promote Yak Girl. So I just wanted to thank the whole community for being extra supportive. And I hope to go to Dolpo one day. I was supposed to go this August, and obviously that's not going to happen, but I really pray I can go next summer is my wish. So I think I'm going to stop sharing, and where did it go? How do I do this? And open for a question and answer. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Is the stop sharing part?
Hi everyone.
Okay, are you ready? Can you see?
Open questions. Please ask after Dorje Doma. So I think no questions.
No questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think Doma is more comfortable.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah. I have a question. So, right now there's a lots of negative energy in surrounding. So we should provide some ray of hope for other person. Yeah. So you are the ray of hope for other Dolpo girls. So it will create more Dolpo girl leadership in Dolpo. So through you are writing books, yeah. So through this you are doing some help for other Dolpo girl, or like or you are doing for yourself also, yourself. Did that make sense?
Yeah, I think what that was another one of the reasons I wanted to write my book, because not just local girls, but in general, when as mentioned in the earlier, when I first thought about writing, I didn't know a lot of Asian female writers. I mean, now I do, but I think it's what's interesting is like when you go for thinking like, oh, my life is like, the education is not possible at all. And then, you know, I remember when I was in Dolpo, like some of my friends, they were, you know, in their late teens or talking more about getting ready to get married and all that. So, and then I was like, well, I don't know if that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to know more. I wanted to see what's beyond those mountains, and I don't want it to just go from, you know, this to this. And I think what's remarkable is that I can actually have like thinking that it is never possible to making it possible. And I think one way for putting myself doing the writing and speaking is that I hope that more girls will, you know, pursue education, because I think you can become, you know, village role models and leaders. I mean, I'm so proud of actually that so many young Dolpo people, both boys and girls, that are going, you know, studying to higher education to become doctors, nurses, or, you know, whatever career that you wanted to pursue, including my sister. And you know, we need more doctors and nurses, and also that the fact that so many of them are going back and you know, giving back to the community by becoming teachers. And I mean, they're, you know, you guys are leading the next generation. So yeah, I think for me, I mean, I'm just doing it and see, hopefully others join in, kind of thing. I think you're off. Mic is off.
Oh, so my my second question is that like first, I really appreciate for sharing your pain and emotional story. Thank you so much for that. I'm very grateful for that. So like my second question is that like you already published like Yak Girl. So other than part, you are you are planning to write more books or about Dolpo culture, because there's a lots of Dolpo culture segmentation like hidden culture. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would definitely write. I do like to write, even just, you know, short stories, and I hope to write more books, whether it's Dolpo culture or whether it's I think one book that I always want to write is actually a children's book, and I think so. I think I'll write when it feels the right time and feels the story is the right time to when it comes together. And so yeah, I think I would like to. I personally would like to go to Dolpo, spend more time, and yeah, be able to write. And it doesn't have to be book. You know, I can write it as a blog. I can write it as a short story. And I think I just find that storytelling is just another way of reaching out to people and inspiring each other. And I learned from watching the talks here. It's fun to learn about the histories of Dolpo, or the education. And one thing about education is like, you should never stop. Just because you finish college doesn't mean you're done. Like there's room to learn for the rest of your life. In fact, whenever school starts, I think to myself, I'm going to start school, even if I'm not in school. But it's just, I love learning about history. I've been doing lots of listening to like a history audio type of books, and then I would like to garden and listen to history audios. It's interesting, because if I were to just read it, I'll just fall asleep. But for some reason, when I'm I'm doing work with my hand, and then have the audio on, learning about history. Like I learn both learning whatever I'm doing with my hand and also in my brain. So I would say never stop learning.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions.
Guys, open for the questions. Please ask many questions from Dorje Dolma, because it's great learning session from her experience.
And I think if you wanted to ask in Nepali or Tibetan,
yeah. So we can translate any questions in Tibetan language or from Nepali. Some of Nepal kids can translate to Dorje Dolma. So yeah.
Oh, touch the lid. Oh, sorry. Samala touch the lid. Sing the way.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, tini taring mixi ki Dorje Doma la touch the lid. Pachi ta nge pyoke thola shivaina. Tapte sare ta nge keik shemba shigme. Ani kalde sipa. Ani nge ki keja di pa. Ani khong la kota matribaina. Ante tanta trazum nang la shungi ki ani kejur nang ro ches shue ani nga la triwa ni phue triwa ni che ani ta triwa ni te kari inse na an chidang ta kalde nge norme na ani nga zo ni tolbu di ta chilu cha de res chilu cha la ta gyugen ra wuchi ta cause and effect wuchi kashi chi dos ani odi ani kirang gi thong yona menas perna mismanagement ta nga zo mismanagement chi to gi ta penjur kholo ta ye segrwa ani nga zo payu gi rongba ani sansam tarai area le chibaina nga zo good wealth nga zo pamjur ya ko yong re shas ani yongbab ya ko yong re shas ina nga zo ti yongbab de peje tang thu men do perna nga zo tolbu mi chang khachu kyo na ya low rate income payu kum bum ni khang la re shas ina ani di ani nga zo mismanagement chi da chang thong ye o tindri gi shencha tindri ani kirang gi thong song es ni tuwa thangbu di ani tindri gi shencha kirang gi thong song es nga zo tolbu chi zo nang lo la ani thong na ani tisu la da correction chi ye lekbel nyengo chi la kirang gi ngwe ne da karso message ani kirang gi ngwe ne sungye khari yes ani odi tuwa thangbo an ti chela ya ja tuwa chi an thangbu di ani kalin nang ro chi shue.
Somebody want to translate that? I understood part of it, but I can't.
Yeah, somebody like who's so good in Tibetan, can you please translate to Dorje Doma? I couldn't understand some difficult Tibetan words, so I think I won't be the right person.
Oh, tini yang kal disibaya diwala translate kali yuna ngarang inji chakju di ani nge bezin chigi yirwa tini nge inji di
Yeah, sure inji ke sungro nang ani jela pyoketis chakmo do sung nang ge dara ani ngati shigo kala do konda.
I think that I might be able to understand answer. I think you were talking about if you see mismanagement in
Okay, I will try to, hello everyone. I will try to speak English, but before that I would like to sorry to at all and especially our guest Dorje Dolma. The reason is I never been in school and I never got to chance to study modern education. I just spent in the monastery 27 years. So my questions, today I have two questions. So what I saw, if I'm not mistaken, what I saw in our village, we have a good potentials like wealth, let's just say income. If we compare with another Nepali village like Taran area. So in generally with Dolpo, Upper Dolpa village, each of family, we have a less than 2 lakhs income per years. So they are using the mismanagement, and every day, if we count 1 year, 335 years, no, so they are mostly 1 year, 365 days. Our Dolpo, mostly people drinking 200 days, if I'm not mistaken. So why doing like that. And mostly in our village, challenge to wearing the ornament, ornament. So expensive. Even last year, I saw my sister, she couldn't give her children 10,000 for education fee, but she make the 75,000 one ornament. So this is I feel a mistake. So did you see something lack of Dolpo mismanagement? So if you see, then what do you have message for them? So my first question, and I will again question next one, please.
Can I answer that one before?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Answer your first question, then I can answer the next one. I think that's a really good question. I mean, I haven't been to Dolpo now, so I haven't seen the current situation. But in the past, while being in Dolpo, I've seen some, another group Dolpo meetings or deciding what to do, and I'm available to answer them if I have the answers. So I think I had another question. Did you want to ask that?
Yeah, can I read the question?
Mm-hmm.
It's from chat box.
Is it from Karmala?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How would you go through all the process of writing, editing, and publishing the book? It's question number 1 from XYZ. And second question is, what made you write a book, and would you recommend your youth to write book? If yes, why?
Okay. First of all, I didn't write the book by myself. Everything that I've done in my life or where I am right now, I didn't do it by myself. I had to, one, ask for help. I think that's one thing we, whether it's like a pride or inner pride or whatever, sometimes it's just the wanting to asking for help, and especially when you're in a desperate situation. You feel shame, you feel all these things, so you don't ask for help. But I've learned that that's so important to do in life. Even if the answer was no, you at least tried. I mean, when I first got to Kathmandu, and the doctor said, okay, I'm sorry, we can't help you. You can go back. So we had to go back to Dolpo. But then that meant that was the end of my life, And so I was desperate. So then that's when I found the Rokpa. Rokpa had a soup kitchen in Kathmandu, and it was also a magical moment. But I saw Leah, Mommy Leah, we call her Mommy Leah. She's the founder, one of the founders of Rokpa, and I spent all this time trying to see if I want to ask her, or I needed someone to just listen to me, even takes 2 minutes. So I would just walk to her and I just say, Mommy, I love the Dorje, and I just that's all came out, and that's when things change. So, and same with the writing book. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know where to begin. I still spelling issues, and I still because when I first came to US, I can say, may I use the toilet and please pass me the salt. There's not a lot there's no lot you can write with that. And so I just found friends and families, and I said, please help me improve my writing, please edit, please I was in this writing group, and I would write sections of my book and read it loud, and they would give me feedback. And so I think just asking people to help you. Then once people commit to your need, then you can't just do nothing. Then you have to do the hard part. You actually have to keep now that somebody committed their time and energy, then it's your responsibility to work hard. And so for me, I think I just had, once I had people encouraging me and finding an editor, then I knew I had to do my part by actually committing, whether it's whenever I had time to write. And as far as should other Dolpo people should write their story, yes, of course. Mine's just one of the stories. When I go to Nepal and I, talk about my life, it's not so different as if I'm in the US. But when I'm in Nepal, and some of them, I'm just telling their story, because we have lived similar life, whether it's you lost a family member, you were a herder, whatever path you were on. And and for me, I love reading other people's memoirs and learning about their culture or history. So I would love to see more Dolpo people write their story, and I can already see others are writing, whether it's interviewing someone else's life and then writing about that. It's a very personal. It's a personal way to connect and get to know just the culture even more. So does that answer the question? So yes, please write more.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Many greetings to everyone. My name is Dorje. So I have some questions for you. And first and foremost, I'm really happy to see you virtually, right? And thanks so much for inspiring the Dolpo women, especially we youth, and as well as especially women, inspiring and writing books and internationally speaking. It's really inspired us. And I wish you a very good life ahead also. And my question is that when I go through your all the artwork, when I go through your Facebook, everything, I see there's some things related to our own culture and tradition. But when you see the youth, when they come to Kathmandu, they can easily get copied by the Western. They are easily influenced by the Western culture, the way Western do. They easily copy. They easily influenced by these cultures. So my question is that what inspired you to change that, to transform the Dolpo culture into arts? And Dolpo, especially when I see all those things, I see most of the time all the arts are related to Dolpo culture, Dolpo environment, Dolpo women, and all that's related. Mm-hmm. What inspired that? And second question is that I see most of the Dolpo women, they say that, oh, I'm late to study, so I don't have the time to study. Now I have to marry. Most of the time they say like that. But I think you have also you did your schooling a bit late, right? I think so. But you have completed all the universities, all those things. What message you have to the especially our youth and all the women as well? These are my two questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's actually a great question. I actually forgot to mention about what your first question about my influence in Dolpo culture with my art and writing. So when I first came to America, I was so trying to fit into American culture, and I mean, I didn't bring very much. I had like some necklace that my mother gave me, or just very little symbolized Dolpo. But I didn't feel comfortable wearing that and going to school because I was trying to fit in. I was just like, now I'm in a different country and I need to fit in. But at the same time, I just felt like, I just feel like something's always itching. You wear these clothes and something's just not fitting right. And also I was very self-conscious about my body because my spine was not perfect, and I wasn't comfortable about myself. And also I would get a lot of, I would say, discrimination against, oh, why are you so short? Or what's wrong with your back? Or just like things that I sometimes don't think about, but people just kind of pointed out to me. So that also made my self-esteem go even down. And it took a long time. It takes a long time to find your identity or find yourself. And I went to Tibetan community parties, I went to Nepali community things, but I still didn't feel like I fit in, or I just didn't feel like I fit into any of the culture. And but I think I was in like high school. I just sort of like said to myself, I'm going to just accept who I am. I'm a mixture of many cultures, and I don't want to put all my Dolpo blankets and stuff in the closet and forget about it. And I actually, that's something that's really beautiful. And when I was in Dolpo, I love the culture. I love the colorful, the blankets, the jewelry. I mean, my aunts used to wear a lot of rings. I still wear rings, and that just stuck in me. And I was like, I don't really I don't want to hide that. And so once I sort of accepted myself, even if people judge me, I just start bringing I start wearing my Dolpo jewelry, or and adding that, combining that with my Western culture. And then I just felt more and more, I don't know, empowers, right? Just live, that it's like, oh, this culture is also part of me. Even if I'm not there, my family's there, I'm always trying to connect to, talk to them. I get, messages about what's happening in life in Dolpo. So I just didn't want it to forget that. And so I just start adding it all in. And I think that's why my art is mixed media, because it's combining the different culture, the different types of lives that I live in. And I just want to embrace that. And I've noticed that with the quarantine, in some ways I'm kind of really appreciating my book and appreciating my early life, the simplicity of being out in nature, being with the animals. And I found myself, doing like knitting, or just we're all of a sudden, we're trying to sort of like survive, make everything our own, create our own. And a lot of young children in Dolpo learn to like weave, or just there's no toys, so kids go out and create their own toys, finding rocks and sticks. And I find that I'm still doing that, but that value is that it makes you become resourceful and innovative. And so that's something I do wanted to say to a lot of the younger Dolpo generations, whether you're in the city or in the villages. I think it's really important to learn the skills, traditional skills, like whether it's weaving, whether it's traditional ways of life, because that actually becomes, they can become important survival thing when you in your adult life. And so if you're living with your parents or grandparents, like learn how to weave, learn how to make yarn, and learn how to cook traditional meals. So, and it just adds it just makes you a richer as a person. And then I forgot the other question. What was the other question?
Yes.
So did that answer that question?
My second question is that, as being a woman, you are the woman, right? So we see a Dolpo, especially Dolpo women. So when I say that you have to study at least ABCD, at least you have to write your name, they say, oh, now our age is over. So I think you also did your schooling a bit late as compared to other students. I also did my schooling very late. So what message you have to those women?
I think that I would say it's being persistent, being because we have very busy lives, or we got families that need you. You just our lives are pulled in so many directions, but creating a focus. So one of the things that helps, because I live here, but I also stay in touch with families in Dolpo, in the city, or wherever, Europe, and they're all spread around. And then also you're carrying all the different emotions. If your parents are sick or somebody's depressed, it's we're like spider webs. We just get kind of stuck into different situations, and then it's hard to focus. But for me, because also when I lost a lot of family members, and those can be difficult to move forward and stay focused. But one thing that helps me is writing down goals. So I always said to myself, okay, I want to write a book. I don't know, like somewhere when I'm after high school or something, I just want to write that book. So just putting that out there first, but then you have to do all these other things like finish school, blah, blah, blah. But your goal is, you should not forget your dream, your dream goal, and you keep working at it whenever you have time. So my goal was to write a book, but then I do go studies at university takes a lot of my time with the writing, and I'm not really good at taking exams. So I was pretty much like locked in the libraries and studying. So end of the day, I didn't have any energy to write. But then I didn't want it to forget that. So whenever I had free time on holidays, and I keep on writing. And so I think one thing is staying focused. For me, I like to definitely writing a goal, whether it's long-term goal or short-term goal. So I like to write what I wanted to accomplish this week and what I want to accomplish this month or this year. But don't get so attached to your goal. Your things could happen, So keeping it flexible, and eventually you can get there. But I think main thing is just staying focused. It's easy to get distracted right now, especially with so much like social media, or we just get distracted easily, and our attention spans are gone shorter. In the past, we have more time to visit people and talk to people, and without completely being attached to phones and computers. But now our attention spans are going smaller and smaller, and but just like whenever you feel overwhelmed all over the place, refocus, and then just, if it helps, write it down, like what I wanted to get done this month or this day, and just a reminder to like stay on the path.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Dorje Dolma. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, sorry. So, first of all, I'm very happy to see you and your work. And I was actually thinking, like, how should I connect with you? And I know your father, Amchi, and then I remember your father has cured many of my like illness of my late mother. So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So from your work, what I found is like you are a kind of entrepreneurial woman. You have started selling your book and your arts. So this is something that I really like. And what I want to ask is basically this question is for everyone. Like we, all of the Dolpo people, we have to have this kind of question in mind. But I'm asking you this question specifically because I saw your work. So my question is like, what are the various things that local people in Dolpo can do, like small economic activities, so that like which is like sustainable both environmentally and culturally, like which saves our culture and the environment, and the small activities which could go like beyond our own local market to like entire Nepal, and then if possible in a global market as well. So this is my simple question, and I just wanted to hear your own uh, like ideas based on your own experiences. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think, yeah, I definitely, I've learned, I didn't get, I was going to study business when I was at university, but I only took one class. But one thing I do think it's important for, even if you're not studying business, to learn basic business skills that teaches you about how to budget, how to, how to make money, or ways, finding creative ways to make money. And I remember after my college, I mean, I knew how to paint, but I didn't have a job. So I was like, where do I go? Like, how do I even, start my life? And I just remember feeling I really should have taken more business classes, or I didn't really know, like, as an artist, you can't just go, I'm an artist and hopefully somebody will buy my artwork. You actually have to know how to reach the galleries. You have to know how to promote your work. You have to know how to connect, network. You have to know how to tell your, this is another way of telling your story. Like, how do you tell your story about your work? And so I think for me, I'm learning. I'm still learning, but the more you do it, you learn. And I also like to watch videos on whether it's like, if I'm talking about how to do Excel spreadsheet, or I would either find someone to help me on, because I'm trying to do it in a budget. So you could, I mean, right now with the internet, I mean, there's so many ways you can learn compared to in the past. We had to actually go into class and there's no resource. But now, like, you got the YouTube, you got online, you can learn. But the main thing again is that you actually have to create a goal, that if you wanted to pursue it in business, that then what do you need to do? You need to take what classes, or what if you wanted to open a shop, then what do you need to do? And then learn those skills. So for me, it's like learning and then practicing, learning, okay, not that one, even this marketing, like I'm learning how to do that whole thing. And I think it's important more Dolpo people actually learn business skill, study business, because like, for example, a lot of my siblings, we all like to be creative. So I was like, okay, somebody's got to study business because we can't all be artists. And it, then you can create business, create income in your with your family in the village, and finding ways to skills that you know well or your family know well, and then how to make it that can help bring income for you or the family or the community. And I think there are I think it's always good to see when you see other people are creating business or opening restaurants, whatever they're doing, just learning from that experience, learning from others, and then just try it, and so learn, and then learn and then experiment.
Hello, Dorje.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one question from chat box. It's from Furpal Hamod. I'm really sorry to ask this question. You're thinking to work in the preservation of Dolpo culture, right? And you yourself don't know Dolpo language. It's really important to know and understand our own language. So how would you do that work? So this will be the last question.
Okay. Well, I think as far as language goes, I came here to America when I was 10 years old, and I was living in a country that everybody spoke English. I was living with family that spoke English. And then, I didn't go back to Nepal for 5 years. I mean, my first year of those life was about, focusing on saving my life. And, but I did that, that goes back to, keeping your culture. I was starting to lose my Tibetan language, and thankfully I have an amazing family, American parents who really value my culture. And so I took some lessons with a Tibetan teacher. I just learned like basic writing, reading skills, but mostly speaking. And that really helped me because when I went back to Nepal, I can now communicate to my parents in Nepal or relatives. It's my Tibetan is grade 5 level, but that's better than nothing. And the more I talk, and the more I when I go to Nepal, that's it helps me to keep the language going and learning. And sometimes I'm surprised when I'll be talking to my dad and mom. Like 2 hours later, we're still talking in Tibetan. And of course, sometimes they're like, what? But they're, there's also the online communication's been very useful for me because I can talk to my family, and I hope that I can keep on improving the language. And so yeah, so I would say I will always try to keep learning, or if I start to forget things, and then I either call my parents, or I have books, or I watch movies or videos on in Tibetan language. And a lot of my friends are where I live are all from Nepal, so I actually learned Nepali culture, food. I mean, I don't speak Nepali very well, but I can understand way more than when I first came here. So I have to remember, like, I came. I mean, when I was in Dolpo, there was no school, so I didn't learn to speak Nepali. And then I had to come here, and actually I learned more about Nepali culture and language because of meeting with the community here. So yeah, is that it? Does that answer the question?
Yes. Dorje, again, there are more questions.
Okay. I'm gonna
yeah, we have one One question from Dorsang. Do you have a plan to write another book in future about Dolpo?
I think again, I would like to write, but it has to it has to kind of come to me, and I think one thing is spending more time in Dolpo would inspire me. Anything you do in life, you have to be in the environment to get inspired. So I think I would like to, definitely go and visit Dolpo and write some more. So yeah, I would like to write more. I have a feeling in the future there will be more books about Dolpo, but also about I like to write more in the memoir kind of style. Not like I'm not very good writing the like scientific or historical. I like the personal, like writing. It might not be about me. It might be about someone else's life. Telling someone else's story and learning about their history, and their background. So yes, I would like to write, but I would like to see other people's writings too. All right.
So this is the end of the questions.
Yeah, we have more. Actually, we have more questions.
Okay.
Actually, Dorje, you have a time?
Yeah.
So there's one question from Facebook is like, what is your best advice for youth who are looking forward to be writer and motivational speaker?
You actually have to write it and do the speaking. That's one. I mean, if you want to, so if you want to be a writer, you just keep writing. And one of my late American grandmother, she used to, she loved doing journal writing, and she would every day ask me like, have you written in your journal? And for a while I didn't really get into it. It's like weird to say, dear journal, today I had a good breakfast. Like it just was weird to talk to a book. And but then I started to do more and more of that. And the thing is, remember in the beginning I said, if you have an idea or thought, you have to write it down, and don't think about it as a book, just write it down. And then from that, writing it down, it could create into anything. It could turn into a song, it could turn into a blog post, it could turn into a book, or it could be a film. Writing does not confine just writing a book. So don't get overwhelmed with the book, because then that was my beginning problem, is that I was just, this book is just this giant thing, and I giant mountain that I didn't know how to climb. But then I just erased that and then just like climb a small section at a time. So just write it and see, once you have all your thoughts and ideas or memories or experience written down, then you can decide what you want that to turn into. Then you can say, oh, you know what, this is going to be more of a blog, or this is going to be more of a song. It could be. So I think just main thing is just have a notebook, or create like a daily practice of writing things down. So that's the first thing. And then for speaking, same thing. The more you do it, I like to watch other people do the speaking. When I first had to do my book talk, I wrote this whole speech, and then I stood in front of my mom and did the presentation. I went blank. I couldn't remember one line. I was like, oh my God, my presentation is tomorrow. I'm freaking out and I don't know what to do. And then the next day, there were like 50 people, and somehow I had to do the presentation. But then I just kind of, well, this is my life story. I should remember things. and just be, I just had to stay calm and grounded. My main focus was make sure my PowerPoint was working. So I think that took away the nervousness of speaking. But I think the more you do it, the more you learn about yourself or ways you can improve. And yeah, I still have ways to go. That's why I like to I wanted to keep doing talks. The online is definitely a new form, because I do like the actually going to places and meeting people, but it's gonna take a while for that to happen. But this is another way to do another skill and ways to connect to people. So yeah, just keep doing whatever you wanted to do, and just remember to commit to it and keep practicing, I guess. Anything else?
So
hello?
yeah, done question. Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
terus
Hi.
tempat tangi Yoruba. Okay. Ngi
So
tadi
So
Okay.
I would like to say, like, whosoever has a question, please throw in Facebook page. After
hello.
that, oh,
Yes. Pemala.
la.
Karma wangel korana tiwashi yosare. Palche tati tamachenan diksare.
Okay, yeah.
Chokarma wangela. Tiwate
Laso Tulchina. Ani ngi tadi tiwa langmadi. Before my next question is I recognize you are the one of great success young generations of our Dolpo, and what I saw in our situation present now, since 1990 to until now, we have a many basic school like a primary school, and we have a very young peoples who finish class 10 and 12, but still what I saw is our young generations cannot how to say, cannot go the very high level educations. There are few families, children can study like doctors and like engineers, but mostly, let's say 85% our young generations give up the after 12 because financial problems. And in India and Nepal is not same as environment like Europe and America. So do you have any plan for our young generations to study very high level after bachelor, high level, to study for something like a project, like a scheme? Do you have any planning? I mean financial support in the future, our young generation. So if you not understand, again, I will ask you in Tibetan.
I understand. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, thank you. Then both of questions answering, and I thank you today. I'm very happy. So thank you.
Thank you. If I had the money, I would definitely make sure everyone get to go to college. But unfortunately, I would have to sell a couple more paintings. But I think I do understand that this is a challenge for many people in Nepal, especially in remote parts of the world, where we're just starting, and we went from having no school to yes school, but it's still, we still have ways to go, and we have families to support and land to take care of. So I understand the challenge is definitely there, and I think for it's a I think if you really want to study, find ways to get financial help is again asking that to yourself, like I need help, and here's my plan. This is where I need the support, and then asking the community or asking other organizations or searching online. How can you get a scholarship? How can you or a lot of people they create sell things, work extra to so they can go to school. Here's an example. My surgeon, Dr. Odom, he told me that when he wanted to go to college, and he sold like these brushes for the whole summer, and every day he's just like, I gotta go keep selling these brushes. And he was able to pay like half semester of just selling brushes. So I think that's the business aspect is important. You have to think about like, okay, here's what you want to accomplish or you wanting to do. How do I get there? And I know that recently Pema Doma from Saldang, the nurse, I really liked her presentation, how she wanted to be a nurse, and she did all, searching on Google and then working for other organizations. So I think the main thing is that once you put yourself out, then you build connection. You tell, okay, by the way, the more, and you tell your story. Like this is also like a little bit of like a marketing of yourself. You say, who are you? And you don't go, oh, my name, like you just say, okay, my name is this. I like to do, this is what I like to do. This is what I want to study. If you know anyone that would be able to help or connect me to, those are ways you can do it. Unfortunately, it doesn't, it's a hard journey, but I think that's something that I've done in some of my, you have to go through these loops, and also you get rejected, and whether it's trying to find scholarship or whether it's trying to, like for example, I was in the university and I wanted to do a study abroad in Nepal, and they said, no, we don't have that program here. We only have like Europe and other countries. So I was like, okay, I'll be back. So I had to talk to my teachers, and I had to write letters, ask them to write me letters, and I wrote like proposals. And again, I was like, I'm back. So I think again, you have to be persistent. So I was like, here's my proposal. This is what I'm gonna do. This is where I'm gonna be working. Can I go to Nepal and get credit? And I was actually able to get credit to study in Nepal and get credit for it. So it's, I think you can't just go from if the answer is no, no can actually take you to even sometimes a better direction. So don't get discouraged from no. You could be like, no, but you should talk to so-and-so, and then so-and-so, and so-and-so, so-and-so. So it's just like you putting yourself out and, like finding your way through the path. And
hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask one question? Can you spare me a little time? Okay. I'm just curious to ask you that I can see there are lots of reasons for you to write a book about your journey of life. But I wonder and want to ask you that what was the peak moment or the main reason that inspired you to start a book about yourself, or just start writing about books? What was your peak moment or the main reason that really inspired you to write a book?
I think the main reason is that I was living in a country where I can go to school, and if I get sick, I can go to the hospital, and then when I talked to my family in Dolpo, they couldn't do that. You know, they were still in, like, after 10, 15 years, they're still in the same situation like when I was there. You know, like so and so fell, but then they had to walk for 15 days and to get to the hospital, or just, you know, it's the same life and lifestyle. And you know, I would go to bed, and then, you know, I'm in my nice blanket or whatever, but then I think about people in Dolpo, like they're, you know, sleeping on hard floor, it's cold, and, or, you know, I think about, like, did the harvest do well this year? If they didn't, like, how would they survive? So I just and then I would meet somebody, be like, what are you from? I will say Nepal, and they'll be, where? And it's like, if a person doesn't even know where Nepal is, how would they know where Dolpo is? So I just thought, well, maybe if I told my story and write my story and then share with others, then this will inspire for people to want to travel to Nepal, want to go to Dolpo, bring tourism, or learn about the culture, and you know, and then help, you know, be inspired to help with our schools or clinics or whatever. So I think it just I think that was I would say those are some of my main reasons, that health and education. And this is another reason that I also start telling about my medical history, because I mean, not everybody needs to know everything about me, but I thought, you know, it's really great now that the villagers have clinics. But if, you know, if you have to do a surgery, say scoliosis surgery, people would have to come to the city, and it's still very hard to do that. So I figured, like, you know, doesn't matter where you live in the world, or whether you're at 13,000 feet or you're in the city, everyone should deserve to have, you know, basic health care. Everyone should get access to hospital and on time, and not have to walk for 10 to 15 days. And so I think this is another way of me putting myself out, and I don't know, I'm just going to keep going for it, and maybe go do talks at hospitals or health organizations with, and also learn how, you know, I think that everybody wants to learn, the doctors and nurses wants to learn new skills and or create new technologies, so that this can also be used in remote parts of the world. So I think it's, I think I would say those are some of my main reasons, is with the idea of it will bring more health or educational resource to Dolpo, and just let people know what life was like, you know.
Thank you for your time. And
yeah, thank you. Well, I think that's it.
So yeah, now I would like to conclude this session, and thank you, Dolpo, for giving me this opportunity to speak, to conclude the session. And first of all, I feel proud that I'm also from Karang, and you are also from Karang. And as you said about your father's profession, so I would like to share a small story, which is very crisp. So when I was very young, so my grandmother expired at that funeral time. So your father was the one who was doing all the prestigious work. So and I have spent so many times with your family. but I really don't know about you. So since we met this virtually, and it's great to hear about from you. So yes, and thank you so much for your time, and it's been a great learning session, and I hope all the audience took some great lessons from your life journey, as I had took away some brief lessons, like, so you have to be courageous, how the time is tough, and be determined towards your work. And like, as always, there's a saying like, success never comes easily. Every success story have some struggle. So it's always like, it's tough to achieve, but it's never impossible to achieve the success. So, and I hope all the audiences took the sessions very carefully, because there's so much learning in your experience, and you have fought the very tough time with the biggest dangerous disease. And so I would like to thank Mr. Purba Tundu for sponsoring the Zoom session. Otherwise, it won't be possible, this great session. And I would like to thank Dolpo Karma Tundu for handling all the YouTube work. And I would like to thank Yima Tundu for scheduling this session. And thank you so much, Dolma Lamo, for hosting this session. And thank you so much for all the audience. You have been such a great audience and a well-disciplined audience. Thank you so much for your time once again.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all for listening. I know there's a lot of information, but I really appreciate your time, and I love all your questions. So I hope I was able to answer them, but some might, I might take, I'll have to learn myself. But I just wanted to say thank you. And again, thank you, Dolpo, for organizing this. And it's such a wonderful program and resource. And I'm looking forward to watch all the other speakers, past speakers to upcoming ones. So thank you. And
yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you once again. And it's been great to hear from you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the audience.
I can meet you all in Nepal next.
Yeah, sure. So, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.